everyone, welcome back here to Tech Strong TV. My next guest reminded me, I think the last time him and I were face to face might have been at a DevOps Enterprise Summit. Does,
Believe it was,
which
yeah.
that's got to be maybe before COVID, Pete?
I think it was. I think maybe 2019 was the last time
Yeah,
you and I
right
talked
before
directly.
COVID.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Hey, it's great I don't, I'm sorry it's been this long, and it's great to have you on here on Tech Strong TV. I hope all's well with you. How are you?
I'm doing great and I'm really happy to be here. My co-founder Robert Reeves used to do a lot of the forward-facing stuff. They're getting me into more of it
Yeah,
now, so we'll probably be talking more as time
good.
marches on.
I hope so. I hope so. As we were talking about off camera, I just saw Robert. I didn't see him. I did one of these, a Zoom call with him, which I guess I saw him. I just didn't see him in person, as they used to say. Sounds outdated, like recording stuff on film. Anyway, um, Pete, you mentioned you're a co-founder of Liquibase. Give people a little bit of your journey, and we'll segue from that into Liquibase's story.
Sure thing. Yeah. So I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. I've been a part of the tech scene here since the late 90s, right around 2000, right before Y2K. And over the last 25 years or 26 years, I guess at this point, I've worked at several startups that got acquired by larger companies. There was a logistics startup that got acquired by Neopost in Europe. There was a security startup that got acquired by Symantec. And then prior to starting Liquibase, there was a another DevOps company, really, as DevOps was kind of taking shape and becoming a movement called Furnace that managed
Sure.
J2EE server configuration. That company got acquired
Mhm.
by BMC, and it was really our work with BMC that led to sort of the seed of starting a company that does what Liquibase does now. So we were helping people manage their J2EE server infrastructure a lot more easily with automation, reducing all of the manual errors, allowing it to be repeatable and automated, all the great things that you really want from sort of a point solution in DevOps. And as we were doing this, we heard from some of the largest brands in the world, hey, this is great. This is going to help us. This is how it's going to affect our bottom line. Do you guys have anything planned for the database? And it wasn't just one or two people. We heard this again and again and again. And as we kind of started probing into those conversations, what we discovered was while all of these things were being automated around the database itself wasn't being automated. So you had tools like Jenkins starting that CI/CD journey for a lot of companies, all of the automation around testing, building, assessing security, producing an artifact. All of that was being written for the application code, no problem. But people weren't doing the same thing for the database. There were no solutions for the database. It was still a largely manual process. And, not only was it risky because it was a manual process, but it was slowing down the investment everybody was making in application code because you can't really ship an application without shipping the database changes with it. So we looked out in the world of open source as part of our due diligence and our initial market validation for starting this new venture. And we discovered Liquibase, an open source project that next year will turn 20. So it's been around since 2006. And really, it exists to help developers organize, repeatably execute, and automate database migrations in conjunction with application code migrations. And that's what we live to do more and more as time has marched on. It's less about actually automating those things, but providing the guardrails around that automation. So making sure that you're maintaining security standards, making sure that you're maintaining audit and observability standards, making sure that the changes that you're introducing to the system are of high quality prior to being merged into the code base. So a lot of work on the developer front for the developers who are now managing these database changes to really provide the guardrails and the assistance that they need to do this well and make sure that they aren't introducing, performance or security issues into their database. And that's what we've been doing for the last almost 14 years. The company will turn 14 next year, next April. So yeah, I mean that's really why we exist. We want to help you manage your database changes with the same level of visibility, security, safety, and efficiency as every other component of the application stack.
Absolutely. Pete, when I first started DevOps.com in 2013, 2014, we first published early 2014. Um, of course, Liquibase was known as Datical at the time, right?
Yeah.
Liquibase was the open source project. But really, you guys kind of pioneered DevOps for databases because you're right, databases were kind of the redheaded stepchild of the whole IT stack, right? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I've seen it over the last 3 or 4 years where data has become primacy again, right? The data
Yes.
for a little while there, early 2000s all the way through, let's say 2020. We seem to have laws. It felt like the Bill Clinton campaign. Remember, it was it's about the economy, stupid. We remembered that sometime around 2020, it was about the data, stupid. It's about the data. We could put all of this effort into our application and our application processes and development. But really, it was about the data, and the database is, of course, the container for our data. And so there's been a refocus on database and the data, the
Mhm.
primacy of data.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would agree.
and Liquibase has ridden that kind of wave now, right? Or rode that wave,
Yes.
I guess is the right word.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So that's kind of what over the course of the company we've noticed as well. And I think that 2020 date is really kind of an important one because I think that's when we really started to see the initial started to get a hazy picture of what AI was going to do for us in the future. And obviously, you can't really train these LLMs. You can't have robust robust LLMs that don't hallucinate as much without high quality data and understanding the lineage of that data.
It's
So I
only as
think,
good as your data. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think what we saw is initially people were trying to fix a functional problem, but now they're trying to fix a strategic problem. They're trying to stay competitive in a world where AI features and AI tools are launched popping up like crazy. There's a real sort of, I think there's a pretty, a sharp increase in the cadence with which people feel like they have to move in order to stay competitive. So, what we found at our customers that have been customers for several years and kind of have the operation of managing databases on Rails in their automation already, it was really a lot easier for them to start launching these AI initiatives because their data was already, there was a high level integrity because it was being consistently managed across the pipeline. And those were the things that kind of are driving our customers now. It's not so much about the initial promise of DevOps, but it's about supporting these AI initiatives that are really just kind of have spiked the demand for high quality, understandable data, and those are kind of the problems that we're solving with our customers now.
Love it. I love it. Um, Pete, did we mention the website? Is it liquidbase.com or
Yeah.
IO? What's
Liquibase.com is the best place
Mhm.
to jump in and start learning about Liquibase, familiarize yourself with Liquibase or see what's new in Liquibase if it's been a while since you've checked it out. We've got from there you can launch to our GitHub repo. We can get to our documentation. We have a whole site on contribution and things like that. We have forums where that are pretty active where our users go to discuss usage of Liquibase and troubleshoot issues. So really, liquibase.com is your gateway to all of those things. So I would definitely start there if you want to learn more about Liquibase.
Excellent. All right, Pete, I'm going to shift gears a little on you here. I wanted to talk about, well, it's actually what Liquibase calls the database delivery gap, fixing the last mile of DevOps. And a lot of this comes out of a report, insight report you guys did, the 2025 State of Database DevOps. Um, Actually, before we even start discussing, for anybody who wants the report, they can get it, I'm assuming, from the Liquibase site. Do you have like a friendly URL to give them, or just go to the front page?
It's on our blog. So I go to liquibase/blog and just look for State of Database DevOps. The URL I can read out. It's liquibase.com/blog/state of database DevOps report as of 1H 2025. But it's probably easier just to go to the
Go
site
to the
and search
blog
for
and
that.
look up
Yeah.
state of report. Exactly. All righty. Spoken like a real database person there, Pete. Um, So talk to us. What's in the report here about the database delivery gap?
Yeah, so really we kind of touched on it earlier. You know, the more things change, the more things stay the same. There is because there are, you know, factors like AI and really just, you know, some of the later companies in the process of adopting and building out their DevOps practices. You know, it's really driving this focus on the database because there are a lot of proven tools and patterns and things like that for everything but the database changes, but kind of getting the database changes to move in lockstep with those database changes and to benefit from the same automation is really what the biggest gap is for a lot of our customers. We'll see folks who have homegrown solutions or they're using an ORM, a framework of some kind, but frameworks don't really provide all of the necessary governance and observability benefits that you really need in this day and age of ensuring that your data is in high integrity and that you're satisfying audit and compliance needs. But it's really what we're seeing is that you know, not only is there a gap in process, there's also kind of a gap in understanding and training. So yeah, just to kind of cover some of the highlights of that report. Obviously, we were talking about this a second ago. AI and ML are really driving sort of, you know, an explosive need for data, a demand for data that unlike we've ever seen before. We need more of it. We need it faster. We need it to be of high integrity, and we need to make sure that we are managing the process of moving it from our transactional databases to our data lakes or our S3 buckets, wherever we're analyzing our data. We need to make sure that process is on rails. So AI is really kind of driving a lot of that adoption. And this report came out of a survey. We surveyed, you know, a lot of people, customers and OSS users alike. And in that, we found that 78% of those respondents said the biggest challenge they're facing right now is rising to the challenge presented by AI and ML. So, but what we also notice is that the teams who had been doing DevOps for a while and kind of fell into our mature cohort, it was really just kind of business as usual. They already had their databases on the rails. They had all of the audit and lineage information they needed. They were sure that their processes were fluid. There were guardrails to keep them from breaking. So really, it's just like, okay, we've got more data that we need to ingest to move from A to B once they have database DevOps sort of, you know, baked into their current processes. So that's a lot of what we're dealing with right now is those companies in the 78% that are trying to get there more quickly. They're having a real tough time with that. But with this new proliferation of tools and you know, processes and different data platforms and different patterns for managing that data, you know, we also found that a lot of the practitioners feel like they're not really getting the training they need. They're being given the tools they need. They're being given sort of the initiatives and the milestones they need to hit. But what they're not getting is training or advice or really just kind of that first step in DevOps, which is, you know, let's understand our entire process end to end so we can all bring our different perspectives together to build the best possible process in terms of speed, safety, and reliability. So yeah, I mean, it's really just a lot about, you know, we're seeing a lot of new tools, we're seeing a lot of new patterns, we're seeing a lot of great innovation in the space. But I think that, you know, what we're hearing from survey respondents, what we cover in the report, a lot of people feel like they aren't getting sort of, we aren't investing enough in the human aspect of that, the humans that use the tools. So I thought that was really interesting as well. And that's something that I've been talking to people about, you know, pretty consistently whenever I get the chance to speak to them, for sure.
I love it. Pete, sounds like a great report. We said where it's available. What else going on at Liquibase? You guys going to be at any shows anytime soon, or maybe
Yeah,
KubeCon
well,
or
I mean,
something like that?
yeah, I think we'll have boots on the ground at KubeCon. We're looking at reInvent also, and we're also
Hmm.
I moved into more of a developer relations role this year. We're focusing on local events as well, so various
Oh,
DevOps
Austin's a
days
hot
or the
area.
KCDs
Sure.
or things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll be around. We'll be pretty visible um, at at the major meetups, and then we're doing some regional stuff too. So I would love the opportunity to talk to everybody, anybody that wants to talk databases or DevOps or really anything. and I'm pretty accessible. Hit me up on LinkedIn, or you can email me directly at pete@liquibase.com. I make it easy.
I love it. Pete, it's been a while. Let's not wait 5, 6 years for you to come back on Tech Strong TV, okay?
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, it was great. Great talking to you again,
All
Alan. I look
righty.
forward to the next one.
All righty. Pete Pickerill, co-founder, Liquibase, here on Tech Strong TV. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.